Isn't it a curious law of the soul that to want something too much is to summon its absence? Like, the harder you try to be great, the heavier it all starts to feel. The louder you chase peace, the more noise you seem to find. We spend our lives sprinting towards stillness, climbing ladders that lead nowhere, tightening our grip on things that were never meant to be held. But what if effort isn't always the answer? What if the trying is what's keeping you stuck? There's this ancient idea, whispered through Taoist wisdom, echoed by poets, confirmed by modern psychology, that sometimes the way forward is through surrender. That success, happiness, even love aren't won by force, but met with presence, not by striving harder, but by learning to stop trying. And once you really feel that, it shifts everything. Stick with me. This might just unstick something inside you. They call it the paradox of effort. And once you see it, you'll start noticing it everywhere. It's this strange truth. The more desperately you try to force something into existence, the more likely it is to resist you. Not because the universe is cruel or ironic, but because effort, when it turns into obsession, creates tension, and tension blocks flow. It's like trying to fall asleep. You want to, you're telling yourself to relax, to breathe, to just do it already. But the more pressure you put on the moment, the more awake you feel. Because now there's effort. And effort, in certain spaces, is friction. This paradox shows up in all kinds of places. You ever try to connect with someone while overthinking every word? Or chase a creative breakthrough only to end up stuck staring at a blank page for hours? Yeah, that's the paradox in action. And here's what's even more interesting. This isn't just some fluffy life advice. There's real psychological backing to it. In Taoist philosophy, there's a concept called Wu Wei. It translates roughly to effortless action, or non-doing. But it doesn't mean laziness. It means alignment. Moving with the rhythm of life, not against it. Alan Watts once put it like this: muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone. You don't thrash around trying to make it still. You wait. You trust. And modern psychology echoes the same idea. There's this thing called the ironic process theory, coined by Daniel Wegner. It basically shows that when we try not to think about something, like don't be nervous or don't mess up, our minds rebel. The very act of trying not to fail creates the conditions for failure. That's why athletes talk about flow state, that effortless zone where time dissolves, and they're no longer trying, they're simply being. Skills, instincts, all unfolding without force. Same goes for artists, musicians, even entrepreneurs. Their best ideas rarely come when they're grinding for them. They come in the shower, on a walk, when they finally let go of trying to be brilliant. So this paradox of effort, it's not a rejection of hard work. It's a shift in how we engage with life. It's the difference between pushing the river and learning to float. And once you get it, not just in theory, but in your bones, it starts to change how you approach almost everything. Not with force, but with trust. Not with pressure, but with presence. And that, ironically, is when things start to move. Think about it. Some of the most powerful things people create happen when they stop trying to impress. George Harrison wrote "Here Comes the Sun" after skipping a business meeting and just relaxing in the garden. No agenda, no grind, just presence. Athletes talk about being in the zone, that state where they're not overthinking or trying to control every move. They're just there, responding, flowing. Even in day-to-day life, how often do breakthroughs come when you stop forcing them? You've been stuck on a problem for hours, then boom, the solution hits you in the shower. Or the person you were chasing finally texts you back after you gave up and moved on. It's like the universe has this rhythm, and the more you fight it, the more it resists. But the moment you loosen your grip, things start to unfold. I've felt this myself. There have been times I obsessed over making the perfect video, only to spiral and scrap it all. And then the one time I just spoke freely, no pressure, no plan. It connected more than anything else I'd done. Sometimes the magic doesn't come from trying harder. It comes from getting out of your own way. So if trying harder keeps jamming the gears, how do you move forward without getting stuck? There's this idea I've been sitting with, effortless action. It sounds like a contradiction, right? But it's actually one of the oldest ideas in the world. In Taoist philosophy, it's called Wu Wei. Not about being passive or checked out, but about doing without forcing. It's the kind of action that doesn't come from pressure. It comes from clarity. Imagine pouring tea into a cup. You don't need to wrestle the kettle or muscle it in. You just tilt your hand. That's it. No strain. Just presence and intention. Effortless action means being so in tune with what's needed. You stop adding friction. You stop trying to perform and start responding to what's actually happening. It's quiet confidence. It's knowing when to move, when to pause, when to let things breathe. Most of us are taught to force outcomes, grind our way through uncertainty. But sometimes, real power is in restraint, in not oversteering the wheel just because the road curves. And when you live from that place, less noise, less need to prove, you're not doing less. You're just doing what matters, without all the extra weight. So let's make it real. First, loosen the grip on outcomes. Instead of obsessing over what needs to happen, focus on how you show up. Set a direction, not a finish line. Let your actions be guided by curiosity, not desperation. Second, try anti-goals. What are you trying to avoid feeling? Overwhelm? Burnout? Shame? Design your day to protect your peace instead of only chasing wins. Third, do things playfully. Pick something you normally take too seriously, your art, your routine, your self-image, and approach it like a game. Try messing up on purpose. It sounds dumb, but it short-circuits perfectionism fast. Fourth, use the mirror test. If your best friend were doing what you're doing, in the way you're doing it, what would you tell them? That gap between advice and action, that's where the shift lives. You don't need a whole new life strategy. You just need to stop pushing from fear and start acting from trust. Small shifts, real difference. Now, let's clear something up, because I know what you might be thinking. Wait, so I'm just supposed to stop caring? Just chill and hope things work out? Not quite. This isn't about apathy. It's not do nothing and manifest a mansion. It's about dropping the unnecessary tension, not the effort altogether. The goal isn't to stop moving, it's to stop straining. It's not laziness, it's precision. And here's another trap. Pretending not to care while secretly obsessing inside. That's still effort. That's still gripping. You can't fake surrender. Your nervous system knows the difference. Also, yes, let's be honest, this mindset can feel a bit privileged. Let go and trust is easier said than done when you're under pressure to survive. But this isn't about ignoring reality. It's about working with it instead of burning yourself out trying to bend it to your will. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means letting things unfold without dragging your ego through every part of the process. It's a quiet power, and it gets louder the more you practice it. What if success was never meant to be hunted, but welcomed? What if the things you're chasing so hard, peace, purpose, love, aren't hiding from you? They're just waiting for you to slow down long enough to notice them. We're taught to grip tighter, to hustle, to strive, to earn our worth through exhaustion. But maybe that's the very thing pulling us further from ourselves. Because life isn't a battle to be won. It's a rhythm to be joined. And when you stop trying to outpace it, you start to hear its beat again. You start remembering how it feels to be, not just to become. You stop asking, am I doing enough? And start asking, am I in tune with this moment? And strangely, that's when things begin to move, gently, naturally, without the fight. Let go, not because you're giving up, but because you're finally choosing to trust that maybe, just maybe, you don't have to try so hard to be exactly where you're meant to be. If any part of this hit home, if you've been feeling the weight of always having to try, maybe this is your reminder to let some of that go, to breathe, to trust, to move a little lighter. It's simple, not easy, but you're not doing it alone.